Can you imagine if you were able to see the book of life, opening it up, and seeing your name written in it? Then coming back a month or two later, opening that same book up and looking down and seeing that your name has been rubbed out. It's been erased. It's been blotted out. How horrible that would be. Now, is that a possibility? Can that happen? You know, in Deuteronomy it talks about the blessings and the curses. And you hear a lot about the blessings if you obey the Lord your God and keep his commandments and do what's right in his eyes, how he will bless you. But there's a whole bunch of curses at the same time if you don't. And, we don't really pay much attention to those curses and those judgments, but we should. Well, now, in Deuteronomy, it talks about this. And there's a place where it talks about a man who, he doesn't want to do what's right. It says this. It says, "And it come to pass, when he heareth the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of mine heart, to add drunkenness to thirst." And this is what it says that God will do. "The Lord will not spare him, but then the anger of the Lord and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Lord shall blot out his name from under heaven." And that's really a sobering thought. And to be quite honest, it's a good chance that you've actually heard people tell you that cannot happen. And you get into that argument whether you once saved, always saved, and those things. And, you get into a theological argument, and on both sides, they have certain points that are true. But the problem is whether you believe that or you don't believe that a person can lose their salvation, whichever position you take, is that you will reach a point in your theology that doesn't match up with the Bible. And the secret things belong unto God. Well, our salvation is a mystery. The gospel is a mystery. We know in part that which he's revealed to us. But as a man, we want to be able to fill in the gaps. We want to feel like we understand everything, and we don't. And you're better off just to take what the Bible says. And so if God wrote that, it makes sense. You can trust that if he wrote it, there's a reason that he wrote it. And the interesting thing is that, he's saying to love him and to obey his commands. Well, what are his commands? Well, you'll find that every one of his commands, they're good things. There are things that we should be doing anyway. There are things that make us good citizens, good people, good to our family. There's nothing bad in here. There's nothing that we should not want to do anyway. And it's part of who God is. It's everything good, everything just, everything righteous and right. Well, that's the way that we should be. So if you reject that, you reject God. And all through the Bible, new and old, you will see that love for God is always connected to keeping his commandments. And that's even in the New Testament. Jesus makes it clear, hey, if you love him, keep his commandments. And, a good tree produces good fruit, and an evil tree produces evil fruit. You cannot divorce those two things. And so when you look at your life and you say, hey, I have autonomy, I can do what I want, and you don't live the way you're supposed to. Well, there are people that are saved and born again, and they're just not bearing fruit. And so they may get to heaven, but they're not going to be any rewards. But then there are also those that they're not saved. They go to church, they may believe, but they're living completely opposite of the Lord. And this is not just an Old Testament teaching. Jesus said that at the end of the earth, end of the age, and end of the world, the angels are going to separate the sheep from the goats, but there will be many that will come to him and call him Lord. He will say, "Depart from me, I never knew you, you workers of iniquity." And that's an interesting thing, that many will come to him, assuming that they are going to be in heaven and that they've done all these things in his name, but yet Jesus says, "Depart from me, I never knew you, you workers of iniquity." Just something to think about.